Hello all. Today we're going to learn about a family-owned spirits company in the world, Bacardi. Most of us already heard about this company. Let us know this company in a much better way. Bacardi Limited is the largest privately held family-owned spirits company in the world. Originally known for its eponymous Bacardi white rum, it now has a portfolio of more than 200 brands and labels. Founded in 1862 and family-owned for 7 generations, Bacardi employs 6,000 people, manufactures at 27 facilities in 16 markets on 4 continents with sales in more than 150 countries. Bacardi Limited refers to the Bacardi group of companies, including Bacardi International Limited. The company sells in excess of 200 million bottles per year. The company's sales in 2007 were $5.5 billion, up from $4.9 billion in 2006. Bacardi Limited is headquartered in Hamilton, Bermuda, and has a 16-member board of directors led by the original founder's great-great-grandson, Facundo L. Bacardi. Early history. Facundo Bacardi Maso, a Spanish wine merchant, was born in Sitges, Catalonia, Spain in 1814 and emigrated to Cuba in 1830. During this period, rum was cheaply made and not considered a refined drink and rarely sold in upmarket taverns. Facundo began attempting to tame rum by isolating a proprietary strain of yeast still used in Bacardi production. This yeast gives Bacardi rum its flavor profile. After experimenting with several techniques, he hit upon filtering the rum through charcoal, which removed the impurities. In addition to this, Facundo aged the rum in white oak barrels, which had the effect of mellowing the drink. The final product was the first clear or white rum in the world. Moving from the experimental stage to a more commercial endeavor, he and his brother Jose set up a Santiago de Cuba distillery they bought in 1862, which housed a still made of copper and cast iron. In the rafters of this building lived fruit bats, the inspiration for the Bacardi bat logo. Emilio Bacardi, Don Facundo's eldest son, was repeatedly imprisoned and was exiled from Cuba for having fought in the rebel army against Spain in the Cuban War of Independence. Emilio's brothers, Facundo and Jose, and his brother-in-law, Henry, Don Enrique Schweg, remained in Cuba with the difficult task of sustaining the company during a period of war. The women in the family were exiled in Kingston, Jamaica. After the Cuban War of Independence and the U.S. occupation of Cuba, the original Cuba Libre and the Daiquiri were both born using Bacardi rum. In 1899, U.S. General Leonard Wood appointed Emilio Bacardi mayor of Santiago de Cuba. In 1922, Emilio opened a new distillery in Santiago. In 1930, Schweg Art Deco Bacardi building in Havana and the third generation of the Bacardi family entered the business. Facundito Bacardi was known to have invited Americans still subject to prohibition to come to Cuba and bathe in Bacardi rum. A new product was introduced, Hathaway beer. During World War II, the company was led by Schweg's son-in-law, Jose Pepin Bosch. Pepin founded Bacardi Imports in New York City and became Cuba's Minister of Treasury in 1949. Cuban Revolution. Portuondo and other Bacardi family members initially supported the Cuban revolutionaries, including Fidel Castro and the broader M26-7 movement. Bosch personally donated tens of thousands of dollars to the movement and acted as an intermediary between the revolutionaries and the CIA to assuage the latter's concerns. Family members, employees and facilities were put to use by the movement, and the company supported the revolution publicly with advertisements and parties. But their support turned to opposition as the pro-Soviet Che Guevara wing of the movement began to dominate and as Castro turned against their interests. The Bacardi family and hence the company maintained a fierce opposition to Fidel Castro's revolution in Cuba in the 1960s. In his book, Bacardi, The Hidden War, ISBN 978-0745318738, Hernando Calvo Ospina outlines the political element to the family's money. Ospina describes how the Bacardi family and the company left Cuba after the Castro regime confiscated the company's Cuban assets on 15 October 1960, in particular in nationalizing and banning all private property on the island as well as all bank accounts. Ospina also explains the close ties Bacardi family members had to the US political elite as well as organizations of states such as the CIA. The family funded various Cuban exile organizations such as CANF. Bacardi in Cuba today. Bacardi drinks are not found in Cuba today. The main brand of rum in Cuba is Havana Club, produced by a company that was confiscated and nationalized by the government during the revolution. Bacardi later bought the brand from the original owners, the Archibald family. The Cuban government, in partnership with the French company Pernod Ricard, sells its Havana Club products internationally except for the United States and its territories. Bacardi created Havana Club rum based on the original recipe from the Archibald family, manufactures it in Puerto Rico and sells it in Florida. Bacardi continues to fight in the courts, attempting to legalize their own Havana Club trademark outside the United States. Drinks now made in the former Cuban Bacardi distillery are sold in Cuba under the name Canny. Despite having no production facilities in Cuba today, Bacardi in the UK has recently decided to re-emphasize its Cuban heritage primarily for commercial reasons. Facing increased competition in the rum market from the now international brand Havana Club, the company concluded that it was important for sales to associate its rum with Cuba. TV advertisements with slogans of "Welcome to Latin Quarter" are but one example of this. In 1998, under the distinctive bat logo, the phrase "Company founded in Santiago de Cuba in 1862" was added. Bacardi has faced criticism and legal problems for supposedly attempting to encourage consumers to believe that they were purchasing rum made in Cuba rather than just marking its heritage. Bacardi adverts in Spain since 1966 had described a popular combination of rum and coke as rum and coke. However, after 1998, it began to describe the drink as Cuba Libre, literally translated as Free Cuba, which is the original name of the drink and what it is mostly called in Latin America. In this instance, Bacardi faced a legal ruling from the Spanish Association of Advertising Users, which forced the company to stop the advert. They concluded that it would mislead the viewer as to the true nature of the product, as the advert contained so much Caribbean imagery, one might conclude it came from Cuba. The Bacardi building in Havana is regarded as one of the finest Art Deco buildings in Latin America. In August 2012, a temporary worker at the company's Jacksonville, Florida bottling subsidiary, Bacardi Bottling, was fatally injured while servicing a palletizer machine. After conducting an investigation, the U.S. Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, determined that Bacardi was in violation of several safety regulations, including 2 willful violations. Bacardi Bottling was fined $192,000 by OSHA. In 1998, the company acquired Dewar Scotch, including Royal Bracla and Bombay Sapphire Gin, from Diageo for $2 billion. Bacardi acquired the Cazadores tequila brand in 2002 and in 2004 purchased Grey Goose, a French-made vodka from Sidney Frank, for $2 billion. In 2006, Bacardi Limited purchased New Zealand vodka brand 42. Below. In its 150-year history, Bacardi rum has more than 550 awards for quality and product profile, making it the world's most awarded rum. Emblems of gold medals and the Spanish coat of arms awarded during the formative years of the business appear on the bottle. Bacardi rums have been entered for a number of international spirit ratings awards. Several Bacardi spirits have performed notably well. Bacardi 8, for example, received 2 gold medals and a silver medal from the San Francisco World Spirits Competition between 2008 and 2010. In addition, it received the International High Quality Trophy at Monde Selections World Quality Selections in 2010 and a Grand Gold Medal in 2011. Bacardi Gold, Bacardi 8 and Bacardi Reserva Limitada were also awarded International High Quality Trophy Awards at the 2010 Monde Selections World Quality Selections. However, it should be noted that these awards are non-competitive and only products that pay to enter are assessed. In 1964, Bacardi opened its new U.S. headquarters in Miami, Florida. Cuban exiled architect Enrique Gutierrez created a building that was hurricane-proof using a system of steel cables and pulleys which allow the building to move slightly in the event of a strong shock. The current American headquarters is at 2701 Lejeune Road in Coral Gables. The 300 employees occupy 230,000 square feet, that is, of leased office space. Bacardi had architects Ludwig Mies van der Rohe and Felix Candela design office buildings and a bottling plant for them in Mexico City during the 1950s. The building complex was added to the tentative list of UNESCO's World Heritage Site list on 20th November 2001. So we got to know about the various aspects of Bacardi. We went through the company's history to its present-day scenario. Hope the information was useful and have a good day ahead.